This is going to be the third video of biology, and we were discussing about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In this video we will discuss about the pollination. It is a very important pre-fertilization event, pollination. Okay, so this is a concept, or this is a phenomena. We know this from very young age, that it is the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma, right? It is nothing but the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma, right? And depending on the source of pollination can be divided into different types. So the source of pollen grain, so where it originates, it is important. So now it is divided into three types: autogamy, datenogamy and xenogamy. Autogamy, datenogamy and xenogamy. Okay. So it is dependent on the source of pollen grain. What is autogamy? Like, it is a transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of same flower. So in a same flower there is anther and stigma. Okay, so same flower, that means anther and the stigma should be close enough. Okay, and also, like, there should be a synchrony in the timing of the production of anther, like production of pollen grain, and also the receptivity of stigma, that is the proper working of stigma. The timing should match in synchrony, that is, there should be synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity. Because on stigma the pollens are received. So now here example is like viola. These are scientific names. So viola, oxalis, etc. They produce two types of flowers. Two types of flowers. One is chasmogamous flowers, and the other one is cleistogamous flowers. So here it is exposed stigma and anther, if they are exposed, and the other one is cleistogamous. Obviously, I hope you can guess, they are covered. They do not open. Now the thing is, here there might be a chance of cross pollination. There might be a chance of cross pollination, but here only one and only autogamy occurs. Only autogamy, because they do not open, right? So, but there can be there is a chance of cross pollination or not autogamy. Now let us discuss the next point, that is geitonogamy. So geitonogamy is when there is a chance of cross pollination, or you can say geitonogamy. Why? Geitonogamy is same plant, okay, but different flowers. But anther and sigma, different flowers. That is pollen grain from one flower to the stigma of other flower. But in the same plant. So even though they are genetically same to autogamy, but they require pollination agents in order for the transfer of the pollen grain. Okay, so like they are genetically similar to autogamy, but they require pollination agents. Okay. And what is the xenogamy? So different plant, okay. Xenogamy is different plant, that is pollen from one flower, stigma of other flower. And this is important, they belong to different plants, so they involve genetically different types. Varieties are generated. Okay, and now these are three types. So xenogamy is like cross pollination. Now let us discuss brief about the agents of pollination. There can be pollination by wind, water, animals, etc. So first let us discuss about, so wind and water, they are abiotic agents. Etc. And animals, insects, they are biotic agents. So let us first discuss about the pollination by wind. So it is the most common form. Okay, most common. And the plants, what are the characteristics of them? Plants are well exposed stamens and large feathery stigma. Why like this? Because it should be well exposed so that the pollen grains are dispersed in the air properly. And why large feathery? So that the pollen grains which are in the wind, it can be grabbed by, or it gets attached or sticked to the feathery stigma. That is why large and feathery. Okay. Okay. And what is the characteristics of the pollen? They should be light because carried by wind. They should be non-sticky. Why? So that it does not get stick to any substance which is here and there. Okay. Why? So that it should be easily carried by wind. If it is if it is sticky, it can get stuck to the dust and becomes heavy. So these flowers generally have single ovule in the ovary, and here inflorescence is there with lots of flowers. Many flowers are there. Example, grass. Okay. Now the next is pollination by water. Okay. So it is rare in flowering plants, and some aquatic plants do have them, like Vallisneria, Hydrilla. So like that, Vallisneria and Hydrilla, aquatic. So here the pollen grains are long and ribbon-like, so that it can be it can drift in the water. So they are long, ribbon-like pollen. And since they are carried in water, so they have a protective slime-like mucilaginous covering. So they have a mucilaginous covering, so that they do not get wet. Okay. And like water hyacinth, water lily, etc. Right. So the flowers emerge above the water level. For example, like water lily and water hyacinth, for them what happens? Flowers emerge above water level. So what happens because of that? Their pollination is done by insects. So insects carry those that. So, and for Vallisneria hydra, it is underwater. And what is there for pollination by? Next is by animals. So like butterflies, bees, wasps, etc. for pollination. So most of the insect pollinated flowers, they are in a large conspicuous. Okay. Why? So that it can attract insects. Okay. They have good fragrance to attract them, and also nectar to attract the pollinators. So these things are called actually floral rewards. Like if you help in pollinating them, you will get this in return. So they provide also, it can be like some like fig. Okay. There inside that the fig is fruit. Okay. They lay eggs, and the insects lay eggs, and that is done there. So after those eggs are matured and the insects go away, people eat the fruit. I don't know how, but yeah. Also the tallest flower, Amorphophallus. Amorphophallus. There they provide safe places to lay eggs. and in return they should pollinate. There is another example. There is a symbiotic relationship between a plant named yucca, okay, and its pollinator moth. So it is a moth pollinator moth. There is a symbiotic relationship present, okay. So the moth is dependent on the plant since this moth they lay eggs, okay. Again similar type. Here the pollen grains are sticky and gets attached to the insect's bird's body, okay. So gets stuck to the body of the pollinator. So this is how, like, once here when they are, let's say, taking the nectar, the pollen grains are attached to this bird or butterfly or whatever, and when that same insect sits on the other plant having the stigma open, the stuck pollen grains get transferred to the stigma of that flower. In return, this pollination is done in the lieu of in exchange of floral rewards, which is here in case, let's say, the nectar. So this is pollination. In the next few videos, next video we will talk about outbreeding devices and pollen pistil interaction, artificial hybridization and all.